I've heard a lot about Razud. Thank you for taking the time to share your information with me in this interview today. I look forward to learning more about Razud and sharing your insights in the conflict resolution marketplace today. I prepared 5 questions. It should take about 15 to 20 minutes. Are you ready to get started?
Absolutely. Look forward to it. Thanks for taking the time. Appreciate it.
Could you introduce everyone to Razud with a brief history and key corporate principles?
Well, I often joke with everybody. I like to think that the Razud probably started in the 80s through a very personal academic relationship with Dr. Ted Becker, who's credited with starting one of the first community mediation programs in the country as an outreach of the University of Hawaii. He taught me mediation and ADR methods. He gave me a passion for mediation. My mom often said he was the reason I didn't go to law school. But I did have an extreme passion for mediation, but I had to leave the field because there clearly wasn't an opportunity to make a living. There wasn't a regular workflow, career path. There's a lot of infighting between the traditional ADR methods, workers and people in the field and legal industry. But also, I was in the Navy and I had an extreme passion for technology, and so that kind of drove me all the way up until 2009. And in about 2009, I had to, when you're in the technology business, you kind of have to reinvent yourself every 5 to 7 years with a new area of technology because technology changes so much. And so I was searching for that. The economy had taken a major slowdown, obviously, so it just happened to coincide with my need to change technology expertise, and reached out to Dr. Becker, who's now at Auburn University, has been for 20 plus years after leaving Hawaii. And we started batting around the concept of conflict resolution today and online dispute resolution, ODR. And, you know, as a result of a lot of conversations in 09 and in late 09, we formed, I guess, what would probably look like an academic think tank if you'd looked on their website. You know, ADR, of course, grew out of the disciplines of peace studies into World War II. You know, mediation, arbitration has been around for as long as time has been around in some form or another. ODR, the terms and the original concept behind online dispute resolution was brought by books Ethan Catch, Colin Rule, Dan Rainey in the early 2000s. Here we are in 2014 and it's still not really a reality. That's why when we came and doing the research that we started in 09, and we got about 10,000 hours of research into this, we felt the term ODR, like ADR, probably weren't the best brands for the marketplace. Alternative, that word probably kind of drew a line in the sand between the non-lawyer mediators originally, and trying to kind of, we're going to take over as an alternative. And ODR, that word online, just means everything's going to be online, and we didn't think that was right for the marketplace. So we've coined a term we call TEDR, and that's, we call technology enhanced disputes resolution. And we also referred to it early on as ODR 2.0 because it really was a strong belief of mine, even going back to 09, that the technology offerings weren't going to meet or drive the consumers to this kind of technology and these kind of new processes. So that's why I sort of said a next generation ODR 2.0, which is pretty typical in technology. Why are people not running to this? We know, you and I know from studying, it's a great way to resolve conflicts. But there's still a really low demand from the consumers. Consumers don't just wake up and go, I'm going to Yellow Pages and I want to go to mediation and start a process. You know, if the court forces them to, like in Florida, where if you go contested divorces, and the majority are, you have to go to mediation first. You know, the court's really heavy in almost all states now. Around the world. Europe is leading us, in fact, in recommending mediation over traditional litigation. This concept, you know, from the 80s baseball film, Field of Dreams, build it, they will come. Some of our competitors built some technology, but they're not booming in business right now. So there has to be a reason. Why are the people not coming? It's proven it doesn't work. And, you know, I guess a guiding principle I got from Ted Becker, Dr. Becker, was that he said he went to law school, He was on the first law school staff at the University of Hawaii. He went over to the political science department, got into ADR, and he kind of fought the legal industry on that word ADR, alternative. And he says, well, you know, now he says, Dave, if we're going to do this, we have to be inclusive. We have to bring the non-lawyer ADR profession, and not that today it's not the non-lawyer ADR profession. There's a lot of lawyers and ex-judges in the profession. We have to unite these guys. So that was kind of, if you ask the word principles, that's just a defining principle. We've recently, as we're getting ready to go on in this video today, the interview is part of a major press release campaign that we're about to undertake in the next couple of months. And you know, I was watching a doctoral program at the University of Florida, and I had to watch a video about education reform. And in that video, Michael Horn is the guy's name. It's a YouTube video. He used a term, disruptive innovation. And really, he was talking about education, but he began the video by saying, anytime there's major change, it has to be disruptive innovation. And so, in his case, education system, and I'd like to think the legal system, and I don't want to alienate any of our friends from that industry, but it's become real monolithic. And it's not consumer friendly. And we have to give consumers a better alternative, there's that word again, of resolving conflicts. Let me give you just two quick examples. I was involved as a project manager in multiple listing services that evolved in what's today Realtor.com. This would have been in mid-96. And when we launched Realtor.com, there was a large contingency of real estate professionals representing the largest brokers in this country that said, oh my God, if we put the address of the house on the website, it's going to ruin the real estate office. Well, guess what? Today you can get, Google Earth pictures of the backyard, and the schools and the closest shopping centers to the houses. Everything is there. And guess what? There's still just as many real estate offices, and I think I seen a statistic a few years ago that it's 95% of all consumer real estate transactions are still through a real estate office. I had a chance to interview with Wayne Azinga, founder of AutoNation, and for well over about a decade and a half, getting close to 2 decades now, he's been trying to bring about disruptive innovation in the automobile industry. First by big mega secondary used car lots, and now by owning almost every brand and dealership around the country. I think they're probably the largest retailer. But at the time, and this was in the mid to late 90s, he was interviewing me, knowing how involved I was in the real estate industry and technology innovation in the real estate industry. He says, what can it do to the car business? And again, I said to Wayne, I said, your business is building big lots and just having people come on. They may be looking for a BMW. You may not have them, but you're prepared to have other choices for the consumer. If you put the car and your inventory on the lot, you're going to have to change your business. So I'd like to think, that's kind of where we are in our industry today, using this technology to enhance the consumer's experience.
On your website, you introduced a new term, and that is technology enhanced dispute resolution. Can you explain how it differs from traditional ADR and ODR terms?
It bothered me for a couple of years, and I pondered it. You hear eBay. eBay is a glowing success example in this industry. I've heard 60 million disputes resolved a year in the marketplace, 80% without human intervention. Well, that wouldn't be, and by the way, I believe that to be true in the type of conflicts that they have. That probably wouldn't be a real popular thing to say to a group of mediators. Hey, use this technology, 80% will be resolved before you ever see the parties. And I don't believe outside of the unique business model that eBay has that you can get that kind of statistic anyway. Also, being a student like you are, and running around academia talking ODR, people go, we're not going to do this online. It's like the attorneys. If they get to the courtroom, that's their theater. That's where they practice their profession. There's a lot of magic that happens in the mediation room. And as much as I use Skype and GoToMeeting and WebEx and other video conferencing technology, it's great, it's convenient. It's immediate, it's inexpensive, but it doesn't replace the magic that happens when you have two conflicting parties in the room. So we didn't want to say it's all online. There's a lot that happens from the intake and development of the case and the qualification, the conflict, and getting the parties' conditions to resolve it that does lend itself to online technology. Wow, what do we do today that we don't probably start on the internet? Register our cars, get our driver's license, purchase it. It's all there. Consumers are used to it. So that's why we're using the word enhanced instead of online. And it's way more than just the video conferencing aspect. And that's what people were, are like, it's all video conferencing. No, it's a small part of it. We'd like to think it's, there's our 10,000 hours of research, 3+ years. We plan, and this is a recent thing, when we named TEDR, we go, wow, we really have something. Recently made a presentation to our board and several employees, and I took all the mediation books that we and I had in school and I threw them across the room because I said, what we've done is invented a complete new way to handle disputes. It's not narrative mediation or transformative mediation. It's a complete different approach, and I'll explain a little more detail in a bit. But we're going to give it to the industry, sort of like an open source technology, because there's no need for us to try to hold on to it. Now we're pretty excited that we're about to introduce some technology products to the marketplace are built on this methodology. But we hope it's studied, we hope it's debated. We don't expect everyone to love it when they first hear it, and we're not at all actually probably looking forward to it when some competing technology companies may even offer products built on it. We hope we should be the first. We're looking forward to that. I like to think it's the best practices model of what happens in a legal office. Don't forget, these paralegals and legal secretaries do a lot of background work for these attorneys. Little magic that happens when you're involved in a litigative effort. ADR professionals, ODR professionals, sort of took in the best of each. I was recently reminded by one of my employees that I should also say not just the best, but we're not including some of the limitations, because we think some of that monolithic process is a limitation. So we've coined the term facilitated negotiation. And when we studied dispute resolution in a classic way, we had facilitation, we had negotiation, we had mediation, we had arbitration, we had restorative justice, all these different approaches. But really, what are two parties doing? They're negotiating the settlement between the two parties. And a facilitator, I never realized it when I left mediation in the 80s and got into the state and technology business, still in the technology business. I always gravitated towards problem IT projects because people said I had good conflict resolution skills. But what was I doing? We weren't in a formal mediation. We were facilitating the parties. And like when we do big technology implementations, you got multiple vendors, multiple economic interests, multiple time interests, and these projects can go awry real quickly. Well, my conflict resolution skills, back in the 80s, were leveraged throughout my career. So again, it's that magic that happens in combining facilitation, mediation, negotiation, arbitration into what we call TEDR. What best serves the parties? That's at the end of the day what everybody should be on. I mean, every industry has to make money, whether it's time billing type legal representation or contingency type of legal representation. There's some wonderful professionals doing that, and there's a need for that. We're not trying to change that. We're trying to look for a different way that really the legal profession and ADR profession can make money in a different way. But again, customer-centric. And on March 31st, we're going to release this technology platform methodology in a published document to the industry to begin the debate. Someone said when we had our meeting a couple of weeks ago, be ready for people to throw stones, because again, everybody's not going to like it. But until we debate it, it won't even give ourselves time to flush it out. So we look forward to it.
You've been promoting your new dispute resolution engine or platform. Can you tell us how it's different from other software in the market today?
In 2009, over 10,000 hours, I probably looked at every piece of technology. I took this, super serious. Someone said a couple of weeks ago also that, Resude has done a real good job of blending technology vision, business process vision, market vision, industry vision from the ADR and legal fields. That's a major compliment, and we're lucky enough to get that from some people who've been along for a long time. First, I guess we like our brand. Settle now. Real proud of that branding exercise. So we want to say we can do this pretty quickly and easily. I think the things I'd like to think we're doing the best right now over our competitors is easy use. Look, these new mobile applications that we all use on our phones, they're sophisticated apps. They do sophisticated things. Have you ever had a training manual for it? Have you ever went to a training on it? We're not. There's a great guy who speaks and writes in mediation.com, and he talks about ODRs and unused discipline. We just need Skype to serve our clients, and in many ways, I think he's right. Video conferencing, again, is only one piece of it. So our second challenge to our team was we're not going to go out and reinvent and rewrite and include and write a lot of code in our software. Software today is done with component development, plugins from when you go purchase some on eBay and you're putting your Visa card in, or you're going out to a query from another supplier. There's a lot of systems operating in the background. They're using components. I said to our guys, we're not reinventing. Some of my competitors have tried to buy inexpensive video conferencing software. I mean, let's face it, Cisco has the majority of the routers in the internet use today. Video conferencing is heavy use of bandwidth on the internet and video compression. Who better to do this than Cisco and their product WebEx? Microsoft obviously has been very successful with Skype. Citrix has been very successful with GoToMeeting. These are technologies and accounts that people are already using. Their computers are set up to use it. Let's don't reinvent the wheel. So I think that's a major thing. This concept of software as a service, platform as a service, Salesforce.com has reinvented the CRM industry. It's sort of as a pay-as-you-use instead of licensing and upgrading every 2 to 3 years at some price. Software can be updated every night, and the users aren't even aware of it. So we put that as a core foundation. It had to be a platform or software as a service. Some of our clients will use our software through the browser. Some of our clients will have such heavy transactions, such important security-based transactions. They're going to want to probably put it in their DMZ and inside their firewall. So that was another foundation. Software today is written in browsers, and not everybody uses one browser, so you have to design for each browser. So we had that. It had to be device agnostic. Look, let's face it, it's not going to be the desktop PC. All these phones today, all these pads have camera. We use them for Skype, and so that was being device agnostic was important. This term unified inbox or unified communication, I think in our most recent thing, we're calling it an environment or a culture where you get instant messaging, you get voice messaging, you get emails, you get video conferencing. All this stuff is forms of communication, and when you're doing conflict resolution, the management of that communication is paramount. And we can put it in one box, all the forms of communication, and just track it and recall it. Imagine the power of in a mediation of being able to say, "I never said that," and go, "Yeah, you did." Pretty powerful stuff. What are you looking for in conflict resolution? In negotiation, as taught by Fisher and Urey, it's always BOTNA. The best alternative to negotiated settlement. You and I talked, we had that class, and we had to probably write a couple of papers on it. But it's these people know if they don't get it resolved, someone else, the judge, magistrate, is going to make a decision, using divorce as an example. And so why can't we focus on trying to get to where they're comfortable individually and try to merge those two and again facilitating negotiation. I gave you that example earlier about eBay, 60 million, 80% without human intervention. Well, I believe that's true, again, on the type of conflicts that there are. And I believe in facilitated negotiation that you're going to get some percentage, not 80%, but you're going to get some percentage that is going to be able to resolve this without the need of any other professionals, be it mediators, arbitrators, or attorneys, getting them to communicate. And that's what our platform was about. You said, how are we different? Well, we did design this software. I'm sorry, it's going to kind of go directly at our competitors. We didn't design, this software wasn't designed for e-retailing. And it wasn't designed as an electronic courthouse. So, again, it's disruptive innovation. We have a concept called neutral community, neutralcommunity.com. We're going to bring neutrals and feed them business. That's completely opposite than build it, they will come. Because we're talking about the consumers. But once you have the consumers, then you can give them the business. Look what Quicken Loans has done for the mortgage marketplace. They're doing the majority of all pre-qualifications. They're doing pass off the business to the banks. And it's not just one bank, it's geographically preferred banking. Or geographically assigned banking. So the banking community is supporting them. That's what we want to do with our business. We want to be a feeder, a funnel for new business to all industry professionals.